Hello, this is a quick video to describe my herbal elixir coffee recipe. It's very simple, and it takes coffee that most people drink to the next level of health, nutrition, and well-being, energy, focus, relaxation. I really like the stimulant properties of this, but when I add the herbs to it, they add a different dimension of awareness. So I'm just going to go through each individual ingredient. And so first of all, I'll start with the coffee. This is Peruvian coffee. It's organic, so that's just the main thing I'm big on. Most coffee that's conventionally grown has a lot of chemicals, pesticides, and organic won't have that, so that is a good base. So I used to not be into coffee because there's just a lot of people who say that it's very acidic, and many people say there's negative things, but actually I've found it is a very good delivery system for this is what David Wolf says, for it, because it creates a lot of acid in the stomach. It really helps digestion, and as well as the caffeine, which dilates the blood vessels and stimulates the brain. When it's combined with herbs, I find it makes the herbs much more potent. I feel them much stronger. So well, the first herb I really like for the flavor is maca. Gelatin. This is gelatinized, which is an extract of maca. It's probably like a 10 times concentrate of maca. Raw maca is good, but I always like extracts because I find they have the active ingredients that make the herbs medicinal. So this removes the starch from maca and retains the unique nutrients. I don't know exactly the names of those, but maca is grown in the high altitudes of the Andes and is an adaptogen, which means it adapts to the stressful environment of really, really high altitudes in South America. So it has many benefits for us to adapt in our life to stress. It has a wonderful malty flavor. I find goes really well with coffee. Malty is sweet, creamy, and it dissolves. The gelatinized dissolves really well in coffee. The raw maca sometimes can be fibrous, but because the starch is removed, it's nice and it's got a nice creamy, almost like a creamer actually. So that's really, really good. First herb. I like to add like at least 5 to 10 herbs because I like to feel like this rush of bliss, really, an energy, but also a calmness, because coffee on its own can be very stimulating, but when you add herbs to it, they have their own spirit or energy that can kind of balance out that stimulating property of coffee. Maca is stimulating, but I find it has a grounding effect because it's a root. So, speaking of roots, I'd like to add a few others. I'm very much into grounding because most of us are in the clouds, very spaced out, stressed out and just flying all over the place like headless chickens. So I've learned just to, use the ancient wisdom of herbs to, be calm, centered, grounded. So this next herb here is licorice root extract. It's from bulksupplements.com, one of my favorite websites, because I buy kilos of herbs for dollars per 100 grams. It's whereas buying it raw or buying these herbs individually is very, very quite expensive, or in capsules is extremely expensive. This is probably 100 times cheaper than buying capsules, so really recommend that website. So licorice is really good because first of all it's extremely sweet. It's about 50 times sweeter than sugar, and it has just a nice kind of candy-like flavor. Licorice is used in candies. but it also has some medicinal effects. It has a balancing effect on the blood sugar. That's really important for coffee because coffee can spike the metabolism. So I find licorice seems to kind of like flatten out the buzz of the coffee. So that's one of the main medicinal parts. There also has certain types of sugars, but that's the main part of the licorice. The next root I like to use is called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha. That's an Ayurvedic herb, which is from the medicinal system of India in Asia. And this is one of the top 5 reputed Ayurvedic herbs. I think that name translated in English means stallion of the horse. So it's like the energy of a horse, which is really strong and robust and muscular. It has aphrodisiac properties, many say. I find it's very calming. It is used for menopause in women and also men for just hormonal balance. It's very good adaptogen, like the maca. This is very calming. And the flavor, similar to maca, is kind of is a little more earthy and sweet, but this is an extract 5 to 1. So it has the concentrate of the withandolides, which are antioxidant type molecules that can't remember exactly, but it does something to regulate the hormonal system of the body, which is extremely important. The hormones are the master molecules for regulation of our whole incredibly intricate systems in the body. I mean, these herbs are thousands, if not millions of years old, so surely they have wisdom that when we take them, they do their own magic. That's why I've been doing this for about 10 years and completely convinced I've completely transformed my life. So that's why I rave about it. Next root is, I change around. This is just what I'm doing currently, but I'm just showing this just to be an example that you can play with adding many different things, whatever things, herbs that you like the flavor of, for effects, for either stimulating or calming. So I do change around, but for the last few months, this has been my little blend. Next root here is called echinacea. Echinacea, you may have known, is used in many wellness, immune system type supplements. It's very good. Yeah, it has a lot of vitamin C, and this is the root of echinacea. So it has more grounding effect than the flower that's traditionally used. I just use this because I like just to get my immune system as ramped up as possible. There's so much out there in the creator world that are extremely parasitic. I won't go into it, but the more we can stimulate our immune system, the more protected we can be, and the more protected we are. When our body knows how to take care of itself, then it automatically has an effect on our mind, on our emotions. It's when our immune system's been reduced that it has a cascade effect on our well-being. That's why it's very, very apparent to me that when our body is being taken care of, we feel amazing. And yeah, for sure. Next root is one of my favorites. It's called fo tea. It's a Chinese herb. It's a root, also known as ho shu wu. And this is a very, very earthy. It's like black. The powder was black, so it's really, really, really grounding. Like the others, but more so. The flavor is quite bitter, not too bitter like others, but it has many. This is a 12 to 1, very, very concentrated. But it's known as the elixir of life in Asia. It's been used for thousands of years. And it's very, very calming, I notice. They say in the Ayurvedic, actually Chinese system, it has a lot of Jing. Jing is, instead of Qi, which is fast energy, like a burst, like the flame, which coffee could represent, Jing is more of the candle. If Qi is the flame of the candle, Jing is the actual wax. So it's like that kind of that stored energy. And yeah, I just find it's very nourishing. I think works in the kidney meridian or the liver. It just very, very nourishes deep inside the body, and it has the flavor's not too strong, so it does work with the coffee, that kind of bitter, dark type flavor. So those are all the roots that I use. And then I like to add. I like to be stimulated when I'm working. I like to be very, very focused. So what I add to this is guarana. Guarana is a seed from South America that's a very, very potent source of caffeine. But it's different than the caffeine in coffee because it's fat soluble. Coffee has fatty acids, and then I add a creamer. I like this here. This is just like a generic brand of creamer, which has fats. But also I like to either add coconut oil or even olive oil or flax oil, hemp oil. 1 tablespoon for each coffee elixir. And what that does is it potentiates many of the compounds in each of these herbs, because many of the nutrients are fat soluble. It's just like the caffeine in the guarana, it's fat soluble. So, and the fats come, because I don't put much sugar. I mean, there's a lot of sugar in the creamer. Most people have so much sugar in their drinks, which spikes their blood, and that just puts the adrenaline up, the cortisol, stress hormones. They get a rush and then a crash. But with this, with the fats, it's kind of like an even keel type of energy. I mean, it is stimulating with this amount of caffeine, but it doesn't go up and down. It's much more gradual, sustained energy. I've noticed by tinkering with this. Sometimes even if I want to eat a little bit more of a kick and that nice flavor, I'll put cacao, chocolate. Chocolate is theobromine, which is a cardiovascular stimulant, which is much more the heart. And yeah, nice flavor, like a mocha. Works. It's really, really nice. Let's see. So that's most of the herbs. This is another herb I just for fun like to put in. It's called catuaba, which is a bark. Actually, there's 2 barks used: catuaba and cinnamon. Cinnamon, just like the licorice, yes, has a blood sugar regulating effect. It has a nice sweetness too, and with the coffee and the cacao, that's the traditional drink in South America. It has that spice, sweet spice flavor. But cinnamon does have a very balancing effect with this blood sugar regulation. So whatever sugar that is in this already, the cinnamon cancels that out, and has a slight thickening property. So it does emulsify well to make this elixir nice and smooth tasting. And finally, the last 2 things I like to put in that adds like a kind of alchemical rounding effect for all of the nutrients is bee pollen. This is from Hawaii, where I live, Oahu. Bee pollen is extremely high in enzymes. And enzymes are, you could think of them as like batteries, electrical batteries that potentiate and speed up the biological process, basically digestion. It puts all of these complex combinations together and allows the body to efficiently assimilate it. It also has many micronutrients, amino acids, and I've even heard that there's literally thousands of pollen grains. And 1 grain is harvested by a single bee. I think it takes several hours for 1 grain of the bee to collect a grain. And what blew me away is when I found out that 1 grain of pollen has literally tens of thousands of pollen spores. So not only is this micronutrients and amino acids and enzymes, it is flower pollen spores from all over the surrounding area where I live. So it's like a kind of immunity shot for. They say it's really good for allergies. I just think of it like a prebiotic because it will have um, spores of bacteria and fungal spores, and basically you could consider probiotics from all around the area. So to me, it's like a way to connect to the energy of the surrounding environment. And if you get bee pollen from wherever you live, that can be a way for you to connect to that energy. Finally, I like to add bee enzyme complex powder. This brand I really like because, I don't know if you can see that clearly, but it has the B vitamins, but this is called coenzyme, which means that these B vitamins have been processed in a way to make them extremely bioavailable, which means absorbable. Quite often the B vitamins or minerals and supplements they're not really utilized by the body because the sources they come from are not too clear, or this I really like because all of the fats that's in this drink are the B enzymes are fat soluble. So it seems to have an effect to, just like the bee pollen, to potentiate the absorption and digestion of this. So yeah, that's why I add that. So that's really it. That's everything I put together. I hope this can inspire you to be creative with your coffee, because it can take your energy to the next level by adding the plant kingdom, herbs, roots, barks, or whatever you like to it. And yeah, it's really amazing. And yeah, feel free to share any comments of if you add any unique things to your drinks. Thanks you for watching. Bye bye.